Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the lovely Sunfire Fire. And always remember, step into the fire, you might just get burned. Okay, let's start. So today I woke up, I did a little bit of yoga, and today's my day off, and so after I looked through my phone and the news feed, and I saw an article on today. Um, it says that introverts acting introverted, acting extroverted makes you feel happier, and it's just like yes, but the way they worded that, the way they worded that phrase, I guarantee you an extrovert wrote this article, and the way they just the way it sounds, it makes it sound like they it makes it sound like being introverted is a bad thing. I mean, I know that's not how they necessarily want to make it, but I mean, yes, introverts can be extroverts. It sounds like they're saying introverts cannot be extroverts. I mean, you can be extro. Introverts are extroverts. I mean, if you when I'm with my friends or with someone who I'm comfortable talking with, I can act very extroverted. Um, and yes, it does make me feel happy to be extroverted, but at the same time, I'm also kind of happy being an introvert. I mean, yes, be, it can make you happier, but being in, acting as an introvert makes you happier. Makes you happy too, because again, we know that small talk does eventually probably eventually leads into a bigger conversation, but extroverts just probably just introverts just don't want that, and um usually the people I talk to who I'm comfortable talking with, this no don't they don't necessarily have to be my friends, but like we can have good conversation together. Usually it's just by chance. Just it's not even small talk. It's just we don't even know each other, but then we start talking, and it's pretty nice. I like it. And then I act extroverted with them, and it's not through small talk. There are it this article makes me feel like you didn't get the opinion, like you had the scientists use introverts and extroverts and told them to act introverted, and then for 1 week, and then told them to act extrovert for another week, and they found out that the extroverts and the introverts both felt good on the week that they were supposed to be extroverted more than the week they were supposed to be introverted. You can be happy. It sounds like they're saying you can't be happy being introverted, but I know that's not, they're not trying to offend anyone, but it's kind of offending, because I like being alone sometimes. I like being in my own head sometimes. And that's the only place people use, that's usually the place I'm most understood. And so that's the area I go to a lot of the time to feel good. And it's just also there, I also saw that there was another article, I forget where it was posted, but but no, someone posted it on Facebook, and like I looked at the link, and I forget, I think it was Oprah magazine, and it said how to be more extroverted. And it's just like, again, I guarantee you the person who wrote that article was an extrovert. And I know they weren't trying to offend anyone. Again, I know they're not trying to offend it, but it sounds like you want introverts, you want us to be, since it's mostly an extroverted world, you want us to be more like you. And and I know that humans need to interact with are social creatures and they need to interact with people. And introverts do interact with people. We're not anti. There's some introverts who are antisocial, and there are some introverts who are not antisocial. It's it's not well, and it's not even a question whether they're introverts. It's a question of whether they just like people or they dislike people. I mean, I kind of dislike people, but I kind of like people at the same time because they're fun to observe. They're fun. It's fun. It's fun to have a conversation with someone who who you can actually relate to sometimes. Because since you're an introvert, you can't really find that. And like get like if they would have got the perspective of why people feel comfortable being in an introverted space all the time, and then they would say, well, there's also you can also act a little extroverted sometimes to be happy. That would work. But introverts, we're happy being introverts. It's like when we ask for help, we won't ask for help. And extroverts just think, let's just swoop in and tell them, you need to act more like us. And it's just like, we are designated in a society where it's mostly extroverts that tell us what to do. And it's like, this is like, I'm seeing a lot more now that I'm aware of the, because now that I'm aware of the term introversion, because I found out about introverts and extroverts 2 years ago, because I at first I was just like everyone saying, oh well, she's shy, she doesn't speak a lot. I was like, okay, I'm shy, but I don't really feel, but deep down I know in my heart that I don't feel shy at all. And then I found out the term introversion through the YouTube channel Psych2Go. They were talking, and it's like and they talked about introverts, and I'm like, oh, I'm an introvert. And then I found out I'm an IFJ and an empath and an HSP, but that's a different topic. But they're kind of similar, but different topic. But just going now that I am more aware of the introverted community. I am also looking at seeing articles about, well, you know what? I'm seeing more articles, some articles. I don't always go out seeking them, obviously, because I'm more introvert. The articles I'm looking for are people who are introverts who write down like how to cope with being an introvert and stop being, because there are introverts are more likely to have mental illness because we don't socially interact as well as extroverts, or we're supposed to interact, or like it's complicated, I guess. But and like these, now I'm finding more and more of these articles, and it's just like how extroverts are trying to swoop in to help introverts and being the heroes when we're not asking you to be heroes because you don't know anything about being an introvert. And it's kind of upsetting because you're making it seem like, well, you just gotta suck it up, and even if you don't like talking, you just gotta suck it up because that's how the world is. You might as these articles just might as well say that to introverts, because it's just like we're already struggling. Some introverts, especially when you're a teen, you really don't understand a lot of, you're still trying to find who you are. And when you're a teen and you're an introvert and you're hearing these articles that say that claim to help introverts, but it's an extrovert who wrote this. wrote the article, so they know nothing about being an introvert. They only know that introvert means intro means in, so you're keeping to yourself. So that means that they only know that they're not spoken, and they're not as active as extroverts are. And when you're a teen and you're still trying to understand who yourself are, you help who you really are, and you're an introvert, you probably don't even know what the term you probably never even heard the term introvert, because no one speaks about it, because it's an extroverted world that you're living in. When you hear those articles, when you see those articles, then it's just like, well, I just gotta suck it up, and I have to not be me and be someone else so I can be happy. To me, that's just how I feel, because obviously I'm an introvert, so I have this perspective. And it's just a little disheartening, because it sounds like you're just saying, well, try not to be you. Try to be someone else. Try to have a different personality, and then you might actually be happy. When in reality, that person is suppressing themselves, and they're not making themselves happy. They already don't know who they technically are, but they kind of know that they're more on the non-speaking level. And then articles come out saying, let's teach you how to be more extroverted. And then it's like, well, I guess this is the only way to be happy. And then you're just like, well, on the outside you're being happy, but on the inside you're even less happy, because your personality is being suppressed. It's Introverts can love being alone. We love living alone. We love reading alone. I mean, I'm not saying extroverts don't need their time alone as well, but some of us love to be alone. We really do. Like I said before, I love retreating to my mind. Most of the time I'm in my head, because that's the only place where I feel accepted, in my head. And I like being in my head. I create fictional characters, fictional friends that I talk to, or not just fictional friends, just people. Like I have conversations in my mind about stuff, and I feel good after that. And we also write. That's the best way. That's if you go on the site Introvert Dear, that's a really good site that I recommend a lot of introverts go to. It's there are different introverts who talk about different things, and it's really nice, because they know that they're different, and they know how to cope with it, and they're not telling you need to be more no one's telling you need to be more extroverted. Maybe some of them are, but they're saying this out of like, well actually none, they're not really telling you. They're telling you how you can live your life being this way. So they sometimes even tell you these are the best jobs that introverts can do. And when you look at it, it's like, yeah, this is me. They're describing all the things that I feel sometimes. And that's great. But you see, when you have an extrovert coming into your space and telling you, well, this is how to do things. Well, have you ever been an introvert? Can you tell me what I'm feeling right now? Because when you're coming into my space telling me what to do, when anyone who comes into someone's space and they didn't ask you to, and they're giving you advice when they didn't ask you to, and this is and they're only thinking that they're helping you because you're doing it wrong, then you don't want to listen to them. That's for anyone. That's for introvert or extrovert. You don't want, and so It's just these articles sound like extroverts are coming in and they're just saying this is how you should act. And I'm not going to act that way because I know deep down in my heart if I act that way, I'm not going to feel any better about myself. I mean, yeah, of course, I've said before, introverts can be extroverted. That's why we have extroverted feelings. And around our friends, we can have the best conversations we can ever have make us extroverts. And yet I understand that with, yes, small talk, we hate small talk, but yes, but small talk can sometimes eventually lead into a bigger talk. But personally for me, if it's small talk, I'm not really gonna listen. And a lot of the people who I talk to eventually over time, it doesn't always, we can do small, eventually over time we can do small talk and we don't really talk, but then eventually over time, when I keep seeing that person over, we start having a good conversation, and that's when I become extroverted, and that small one conversation of small talk doesn't always lead to the same conversation leading into a big talk. And that's also the thing. Some introverts can read people very well. So they don't have time for that person. And when we can read a person, we don't have time for that person. So why are we going to talk to that person? We only want to talk to genuine people sometimes. So that's why we don't talk to people. Because a lot of people are fronting nowadays, and or like being fake, and because they just want to be fake. And it's just like, well, we can see right through you. I don't know why you're acting this way. And if you want to keep acting this way, you can do what you want, but I'm not really up for it. And so then that's how, I'm going to take this off. This looks weird. So then that's why we are so, that's why we don't talk to them. And other times we just don't want to talk to people because people have taken advantage of our good nature. And it's not that we don't like people, it's just that we have to be more aware of who we reveal ourselves to. And if these extrovert people who did these articles saying that they're trying to help introverts would get a perspective of an introvert before they come out with an article saying that, well, this is the way that we can help you by being more like us. You don't tell a gay person act more straight and people will like you, or you don't tell a woman, you know what, if you act more manly, people will like you. You don't tell them that, because then they're suppressing who they are. Well, gender is social identity more, gender is a construct, and it's so, but like I'm saying, like, you know what, you wear too much makeup all the time. It's like you should stop wearing makeup and you should start working out and you should start getting more muscles, and then people will like you because you look more like a man, but we know you're still a woman, so we know you're not a pansy. It's like, what? You don't say that to a woman. So why would you say that to so why would an extrovert say that to an introvert? And like it just kind of like, I know what they're trying to do. I know it's coming out of they're not trying to offend introverts when they're saying this, but to me it's kind of annoying, and it's kind of not looking at the big picture here, where it's like, at the same time, yes, you're trying to help introverts, and yes, this is mostly an extroverted world. So we're gonna have to assimilate into this culture, and introverts are gonna have to assimilate into extroverted culture, but you're telling us to become something that we are not. They're like, and I'm not saying extroverts are, they didn't say plainly in the article, introverts should become extroverts. Introverts should always be extroverted. They're saying introverts should be a little more extroverted. But at the same time, I guess that introverts can be extroverts sometimes. Can be extroverted. They're not, I mean, they can't, they can, there are ambiverts as well. Again, that's a different topic. But ambiverts are in the middle, so they can be introverted sometimes and they can be extroverted sometimes. But and they're right in the middle. So what I'm saying is that if an extrovert shouldn't be telling me what I should be doing with my life, how I should be living my life. And I know that if they were right in front of me, they would be like, well, that's not what I was trying to do. It's like, well, yeah, you probably thought that, but since I'm an introvert and you basically wrote this article for me to see, that's how I feel. This is what you're doing to me. And it sounds like you're trying to suppress my introversion. And I'm happy being an introvert. Some people are happy being an introvert. Some people, actually, everyone should be happy being an introvert. I mean, the only people who are probably not happy being an introvert are people who still don't know how to deal with their introversion. Because since we're in an extroverted world, there's a certain form of a personality that you should have, that everyone should have, and everyone keeps telling you that's the norm, but you don't have that, so you don't know how to deal with that introversion that you are having. So that's why you hate being introvert. But that's why I recommend go into the site Introvert Dear, because that really helps guide a lot of introverts to loving themselves and understanding themselves more. Like, you don't necessarily have to, I mean, you're just looking at it as a guide, but that's why I recommend going to Introvert Dear, because then you will understand that, oh, other people feel this way too. I'm not the only one. So, and other people have dealt with this, and other people are saying, this is how I dealt with this. And they're not saying that they're perfect. They're not saying, because sometimes I read an article that an introvert reads, like, they're like, oh, you have to just start saying no. You have to start saying no sometimes. You have to give yourself some me time. And I'm just like, well, that's easy for you to say, but then at the same time, you have to think about it for a second. It's just like, and then when you start doing what they told you to do, like giving yourself a little me time, or like start saying no to people, it's just like, it was hard for them to do this as well. And that's why they're telling you this on the article that they wrote. And it's still, even if they're still living to their philosophy, it's still even hard today, because you're trying to, because introverts just want to help everyone, but you still have to think about yourself at the same time, and it's hard. But that's all I had to say for the article. Try You should be more extroverted. It's just like, even like, even if you like, just I just wish someone would have, like, they would have talked to introverts. Say, does this article sound cool to you? It's like, you could have made the article sound, say, um introverts are like something like, introverts are introverts, but when you act extroverted, sometimes a study has shown that acting a little more extroverted makes you happier, but you can still be an introvert at the same time. Something like that. Because we're not all antisocial. We're not all scared of people. We don't all hate people. We just want to be alone more often than extroverts do. I mean, when you're antisocial, that's something a lot different. And to me, that article was saying that, oh, well, introverts are antisocial, so if they're not antisocial, if they're less antisocial, they'll be more happy. And that's just everything that I got from that article. And I guess I actually did read the article. But, and I know that they were trying to help introverts feel better about themselves, but you weren't. You're making us feel more like an outsider than anything else. So maybe you should just rethink how you come across stuff sometimes. Anyway, that's all I have to say.